Well, hello everyone, and welcome to chapter 69 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. And today I'm going to show you how to make magic. So all you got to do is stay tuned. So if you've been following along on these videos, you know that when I refer to something as being magical, it has to do with the whole process of marbling. And in the comments, there were a person or two that wanted to see a complete demo on marbling, and that's what this one of this week's videos is going to be about. It works out really good because next week I'm going to be demoing this at the first Saskatchewan Woodworkers Guild meeting of the year. So the timing is great, and it allows me to practice a little bit and get up to speed. Now, this will be the way I marble, and it's fairly similar, I guess, to what other wood turners are doing. But if you look on the internet and you see somebody doing something different, um, there's more than one way of doing this. Um, Also, just to remind you, this is the 200 subscriber award giveaway. And man, I wish we'd get there. We were going really quick there for a while. And now all of a sudden it's flatlined again. So, oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, it would be nice to have a few more subscribers. That'd be great. So without spending too much time talking here without a point, we're going to get into the marbling demo. So I think what we're going to do, and first of all, I'm going to take you through materials. Then we're going to look at mixing the alum and the carrageenan, and then it's just a straight demo after that. So I'm hoping that when you watch this, if you've never marbled before, you could go out and buy the supplies you needed to do this and be successful on your own. So that's the goal. And I kind of am directing this more towards middle years and high school IA teachers because I think the fit, especially in especially in middle years IA, is amazing. I think it's a wonderful thing to be doing. So anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore. We're going to head over to the other side of the shop and I'm going to show you everything you need to know. Well, we're going to get right into materials here, and I've got most of it on the table back here. In fact, all of it. Um, the nice thing about getting into marbling is it's relatively inexpensive. Um, Most of the items, if you don't already have them in your house or in the home ec lab in your school shop, are available through various dollar stores, Walmart, and those places. So the expense to get in is not high. I'll tell you what costs a bit as we go through this. So let's just get right into it here. Start with the bigger stuff so I can push it to the back. You're going to need a blender. You need a blender to mix the carrageenan and the water, distilled water. Okay, so that's one thing you need. You need trays or buckets. Now, I really like these Chapman ice cream containers. I think they're still square. I don't know. We never buy ice cream, so I don't know. But they allow you, like that Christmas tree dip would be perfect in here. We started using this one mostly because it had a lid. And we used to put the lid on it all the time to keep the dust out and things like that. So you need a couple of bigger trays. This one I would mix alum and put it in here. This one I'd mix carrageenan and put it in here. So we usually mix for carrageenan, you need distilled water. So I buy this is 3.8 liters, and that's all I've been mixing up. In the blue tank, it's nice to have it a little deeper than that, but for saving costs, I just mix one of these. In fact, I think what I'm going to do when I get more into this again, is I'm going to find some taller, narrower containers just for doing turnings. Now, if you're doing little birdhouse pieces or other larger pieces, then yeah, you need a bigger surface area. The paper marblers use huge shallow tanks. So okay, so we've got the tanks, the blender, the water. Um, you need alum. Okay, this I've had this for a while. It's brand new, still sealed in the bag. There are some directions for mixing on it there, but it's for fabric and for paper. So turning is a little different, probably not much, but I haven't bothered to check it out. So alum, this I bought on Amazon. You can get it. And well, actually, while we're talking about that, here's the carrageenan that I've been using. So this I ordered off of Amazon just for convenience. I used to order it at a specialty marbling place in Washington State. Anyway, I forget the name of it right off the top of my head. But if you want to support a smaller business when you do this, that may be the way to do it. But this was convenient. It was on Amazon. And here, maybe what I'll do is just kind of show you the brand that I bought. But a search on Amazon will get you what you need. Okay, so that's that. Let's do it with the alum as well. I'm not good at putting things in front of the camera. I hope this works. All right. Another thing that's handy to have is storage containers for each, because eventually your bag will be open, and it's nice to have something you can put it in with a lid on it, and that way if you're moving your marbling supplies around, you don't have a lid pop off and have everything a mess. So I like to have those little containers. They work really well. All right, moving right along here. What's next? Well, we should talk about the acrylic paint. Now, these are golden professional fluid acrylics. This is what you should use to do high quality work. To be honest with you, I have to go into Saskatoon today, and I'm going to pick up 5 or 6 Dollarama colors or Dollar Tree or whatever, the cheap ones. And the demo that I'm going to do, that I'm going to shoot tomorrow, I'm going to use those colors because I think, again, for the school shop situation, these colors are not cheap. And if you get into this and you want to do some high quality work on your own, or you have students that are very responsible like I had, and you can do high quality work with them, then this is a good way to go. These work really well. But this is a set of 8 half ounce, half a fluid ounce colors. And the closest I could come to this, I think when I looked on Amazon, was 6 colors, and that was about $50. And if you're working with amateurs and they're not sure what they're doing, this half ounce doesn't go all that far. So I would recommend, I'm going to try the cheap stuff and then you'll see and I can let you know how good it works. Apparently it works just fine. And I'm pretty sure that either Alex or maybe both Mandy and Alex did some marbling with just regular dollar store paint. So we're going to try that. All right, so that's over there. Okay, there's a couple of chemicals here that to be honest with you, have never used all that much. But I wasn't the professional marbler when we did this in high school. So this is photo flow. Now, my understanding of this is if your color doesn't expand like it should when it hits the water, you might have to add a drop or 2 of this. Now, there's photo flow solution that works, and the marblers often use something called Oxgall. I've never used either of these, but they might be something to put on your radar if you need them. All right, well, a whisk for mixing the water and the alum works really good. Again, dollar store stuff. A blow dryer. This was especially handy for when we were marbling, uh, doing demo pieces, or marbling for, we'd go to, say, the Maticho Memorial, and Alex would marble there, and people would bring a piece like a turning off the lathe, and then she'd soak it in the water and alum mix, and then it would need to be dried before you could dip it, so they dried it with the blow dryer. Works really good, and it's cheap and quite inexpensive. That's the same thing, actually. All right, distilled water. Did I talk about this already? Yes, you need distilled water. I think I talked about that. Measuring spoons. I don't do the chef thing where I just do a pinch of this and a bit of that. You need to have a good teaspoon and a good tablespoon measuring thing. These two. And I have all kinds of this stuff, so I only need those 2 spoons. So, all right, heading right along here. A scissor. Scissor is important. Save all your news flyer stuff, because it is really handy when you're skimming to get all the dust and all the imperfections off the carrageenan before you dip. And also, if you want to change colors on your bath, you can take your old colors off and put your new colors on with this. A good waste bin is very good to have close by too, because you're going to be making a bit of a mess. All right, heading along for cleanup. A brush is good. For applying the color onto the carrageenan solution or the bath, these little whisks work really good, especially if you're kind of free-form marbling, which is what I do mostly. Pipettes or eyedroppers, ooh, that's got something in it, work really good for dropping paint onto the mix. But what I found, and I like even better, and I need to thank Alex for this, because what she would do is balance all these colors, mix them in large quantity in here, and then you could just put a drop in with this, and that works really good. So if you're fooling around and mixing things, these little paint trays, again, Dollarama thing, they work really good. Oh, nice to have a hot glue gun. So when I dipped that little tree, what I did is I took an assortment of dowel that I have, which is also nice to have in your kit, and I put some hot glue on it, stick it to the bottom, hold it till it dried, and away you go. It's a way to hold things in the tank. Another good way to do that, and where is it? I don't have it here. I have that little piece of coat hanger that works really good. I'll drill a little hole, put a little bit of hot glue in there, push the wire into the piece, and then I have good control. So a hot glue gun is really important. Okay, let's roll that up. And then what? Various things for cleanup. One of these things, some of these. If you want to make these, a little broom head works pretty good. And there was a brush, but it's a little too big. Just going to get that. It's a little too big to clean these small eyedroppers, but it works with these bigger ones. So a way to clean things. And you don't necessarily, for the cleaning part, you don't necessarily have to do it the way I do it, but just whatever, when you need to clean up, what works to clean up acrylic paint. So get that stuff. One other good thing, and when Alex did Maticho, we would literally tarp a whole room, because we were in space that they allowed us to use. We weren't paying any rent for it, so we wanted them to have no cleanup. And I had a couple of big tarps, and Alex would just put them over the whole room. So that worked really well. I think that is about all I can show you for materials right now. I'm just looking. And yep, that's going to do it for materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back and I'm going to show you, first of all, I think we'll talk about mixing alum and water, and then we'll mix some carrageenan and probably mix it, let it settle for a while, and I'll probably throw it in the fridge. When you're not using that mix, or you're going to say you're going to marble today and then you're going to marble Thursday. Well, it's a good idea to keep it cool until you're going to use it again. All right, so we'll see you at the mixing table in a minute. All right, and we're ready to mix up some alum here. Now the alum acts as, the way it's been explained to me, as a bit of a primer. Helps the color, the acrylic adhere better to the piece, and it makes the colors truer and all kinds of things. And there again, you can do a bunch of research and pretty soon you'll know way more than I do. I got a little ahead of myself. I was dipping or pouring water here. And one thing I forgot to mention in the tools section is these plastic beaker measuring cups. We've been buying them at Dollar Tree for doing stucco and all kinds of stuff, and they're like $1.25, and they're really nice plastic ones. This is an old one that was in the kit, so we're going to use it. To mix alum, I'm going to crack a new bag here. Measurements in metric and imperial, I can give you both. You're going to mix for in imperial. You're going to mix 4 tablespoons to what? 4 tablespoons to a half a gallon. So it's about 4 tablespoons to half a gallon. Metric, that translates into 60 milliliters per 1.9 liters of water. Now, that's 2 liters. Okay, close enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. I've already got 2 liters in here. Got a little ahead of myself. And I'm going to open this and I'm going to take my tablespoon. And so we're basically looking at about 4 tablespoons here. So I got to and 1. Come on, I don't like that lump in there. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now, and I don't have it in here, but I will be going in and getting one. My wife has those bread bag closers. That would work perfectly on here. So, set that down so it doesn't spill. And then we're going to whisk away. Kind of feel like the Swedish chef on the Muppets. I don't want to do the accent. I just embarrassed myself. Now, this water is hot water. Now, at school, what I would do is I would throw this water in the microwave and heat it up to just about to a boil. But out in my shop here, I guess I have a microwave in here. I could do that. But I'm trying to simplify this a little bit for you, the shop teacher types, because I know how busy you'll be. So what I did is I ran my tap in the shop here, the hot tap. I ran it really nice and hot. And to me, it looks really good. It looks like it's all dissolved. And that looks good. So I'll probably just check it up and maybe stir it a little bit before I dip anything in it. But this is done. Okay, let's move this out of the way. And let's get into the carrageenan. Now the carrageenan, I'm going to have to get some paper towel here, sorry. And that's maybe another thing to have handy, is some paper towel. Okay, so just for cleanup. Okay, so now the blender. There we go. That's cord's a little short, but it works. All right. So for the carrageenan, we're going to mix 2 tablespoons to this, 3.8 liters. So 2 tablespoons. And the way I would do that is I would take this and I think this thing does about 1.5 liters, maybe not quite fill it to the top. That'll do. And the proportions in the blender aren't that important. It's to get all this stuff mixed properly and then it'll blend in the tank. So if I get a little bit more in each blend, so be it. So I'm looking at, and I have a dedicated tablespoon for that. Oh, and that one's sealed. Okay, we're going to use this one because I know I've used this one before. Okay, so what did I say? 2 tablespoons per gallon. So here's my tablespoon. I'm going to take a little less, and I'll kind of make this, I think, in 3 mixes. In you go, in you go. Set that down somewhere where I'll never find it again. Yeah. And then you put this on. Come on. And then we're going to get rid of that right now. And we're going to, I like liquefy. Okay. I think that's probably good enough. I just cleaned that out, so. Okay, that's one. And this is distilled water, just to remind you of that. We've used bottled drinking water. It's worked. I don't know how fussy this all is, but I think if you want to be successful, staying close to the instructions, there it is. Staying close to the instructions is a good thing. And I've got probably another half to put in here. I have been keeping track. I should have maybe blended that one a little bit longer than I did. And you can experiment with that. There we go. And can I get the last in here? Ooh. Yeah, that's not the best. But you know what? We don't have very much carrageenan to mix now. That's my equivalent. Okay. All right, here we go. Yeah, leave it up to me to make a mess. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, I didn't plan that quite as good as I could have. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, that's mixed. It's all in the tank. Um, it's important that you do this. I would mix all these things a day before. It's nice to let them settle for about 24 hours. Um, what I'm going to do with this, because I'm going to marble tomorrow, I'm going to set this on my counter here and cover it so we don't get any dust in here. I'm not going to be working in the shop today, so I will go do other things. But when, let's say that I want to marble today or tomorrow and then maybe Friday again, I would, when I finish tomorrow, I would take it and I'd slide it in the fridge and keep it cool until I needed it again. How long can you keep it? That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure, but you'll notice fairly quickly when things aren't working or you get a smell off of it or whatever. You'll know when it's time to throw it out. So then, yeah, throw it out and mix another batch if you still need to work. So I think that, is there anything else that I omitted here? Um, I guess I can, this thing has a crack in it, so I'm going to dump this in here. Then all you have to do is clean everything up, and that's the step I hate the most, is clean up. So I think we've got everything mixed now. The next thing to do is to balance the colors, and that can take a long time to do properly. And there again, my inexperience will show a little bit, but I'll try to maybe do one or two for you tomorrow, and then we're going to dip something, and that's going to be it. So, okay, I'll be back. All right. Well, now that we've got the carrageenan and the alum mixed, the next step would be to what I'm going to call balancing your colors. Now, I've got an overhead view of the tank here. And what I'd like to do is drop a drop of paint in here and have it spread. I like about a 4-inch diameter pattern. A little more is okay, but your colors should be relatively close. So you need to, as I refer to it, as balancing the colors. I think there are other terms used in marbling, but you're stuck with me, so that's what we're going to do. Now, I talked about using golden colors, like not like the brand name golden. And I had some second thoughts about that because I am primarily doing this. This is something that shop teachers would be able to do. And so I thought I would try these Deco Art acrylic crafters paints. They're from Dollarama. So you can tell I played a little earlier with one, and the magenta, the first drop of magenta I did just went straight to the bottom like a rock. So they need to have, usually they need to have water added to them. In fact, I don't know of any colors in my experience that were okay just out of the container. So what I did is I took half of the volume out of here, and now I'm going to start experimenting. I'm hoping this black shows up a little better. This might be hard to see, so my apologies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it, and I'm going to go off to the corners, because if it just goes straight to the bottom, like I'm expecting it to, oh yeah, there it goes. Did you see that? Just right on the bottom. So, okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top off, and I'm going to start adding water. I have a container of distilled water right beside me here, And I just got paint on my dipper. So, and I'm going to start putting in, well, this thing holds almost a teaspoon. So um, usually the ratio about is kind of 2/3 paint, 1/3 water. Maybe a little bit more water, maybe 60/40. But I'm going to add a couple. Oh no, I'm not going to. That would be a mistake because that way I would not necessarily I would miss the window. Okay, so I'm going to shake that up and I'm going to try again. Ah, did you see the color spread a little bit that time? Okay. But it still went to the bottom really quickly. I'm hoping you can see this. So I'm going to take another teaspoon and I'm going to put it in there. And then I'm going to shake it up. Oops. Okay, I'm not shaking the stand doesn't help. Okay, and then I'm going to, okay, yes, you can see that it's starting to spread. I'm getting close. It's a little big. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Maybe about half a teaspoon. I should have showed you that. My apologies. I'm kind of working in a little bit of a strange situation here. Okay, and the other thing is now you can see the outline of the color here. That's gonna cause me to get a false reading. So sorry that I'm out of frame here, but I need to clean that. I need to clean that paint off. And the best way to do it is just take newsprint and skim it off. There. Great idea to have a garbage can close by. Okay, so now I have a clean tank again, more or less anyway. Not perfect, but pretty good. Now I'm going to try my new mix. I'm really starting to like that. That's getting close. And I still have a little bit of color sinking. Now that could have been because I didn't get a nice drop. I had kind of a tail end, and maybe there's putting a little bit too much color on at once. I'm going to throw a little bit more water in here. And then I'm actually quite impressed with these paints. There, that's about another half. Okay, and shaky, 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 shaky. There we go again. Oops, I bumped the camera again. Jeepers, man. You guys are going to be seasick by the end of this. Okay, and I should clean it again, but I'm going to maybe take a different part of the tank. There, I got one nice drop. Yeah, I still need a bit more water. But see, that's what you do, and you keep adding water until you get the pattern you want. Now, if you drop a color in, it floats, but it stays really small. Then you would need to add a little bit of photo flow or oxgall or something to it, because that would cause it to expand. Where did I, oh, there I put it. I'm going to clean the tank again. So yeah, to cause it to expand, you need the photo flow or the oxgall or some type of chemical like that. There's a name for those things, and be darned if I can think of it right now. Okay, so I didn't get this here. I'm going to come back and get the other way here. And that cleans that off. Okay, well, we've got a little bit that's sunk down, but we are getting pretty close. Now, where'd I put it? Here it is. Did I add any water to it? Yes, I did. And you just have to remember what you've done. Ooh, I should get the cap out of the way so you can see the drop. Oh, come on. Okay, now I'm going to start watching for, does it collapse? It doesn't seem to. Okay, like often it'll go big and then it'll come back, so you got to kind of wait for a little bit. But this one doesn't seem to. And to be honest with you, I've never worked with these paints before. So okay, let's see what this does. There we go. That's still a little hotter than I'd like it to be. Okay, we just keep adding water. This can take a while, especially when you're inexperienced like me. I'm going to swipe it again. And you can see you can never have too much newspaper around when you're doing this. Ideally, you should have your colors making about the same diameter when they hit the water or hit the carrageenan. Ooh, I put too much in. Oh, but I like that. There were 3 drops in there and it just didn't take off like it did before. I am going to call this one okay. So you see what I did, just to recap it. I started out with 100% undiluted acrylic paint. And when I put a drop in, you can see it down there. Better yet, this afternoon I did the magenta, and it went right to the bottom. So then I needed to find, and I believe adding water to this, the reason this works is it increases the surface tension. So I got it so it would spread. Well, now I needed to control the spread. So I think this one's fairly well balanced. I'm just going to show you the magenta that I did this afternoon. See if we can drop a drop in here and see what it does. Come on. These aren't dropping as good as... Oh, that one. I don't know if you can see that. But that one's lovely. I did a good job on that one. So basically, let's say I want to use 4 or 5 colors to marble this little Christmas tree I'm doing. I would like to go through this process with all of them. I need to kind of balance them to get them to the point where one color doesn't push the other colors out of the way, so that you have areas of color that you can integrate together with your knitting needle or stick, whatever you're using. Now, and I did mention this before, but fabric and paper marblers um, are a lot fussier than I am with the pattern they use. So they have little tools, and I've actually made a couple here. I just need to find them. But little rakes, little combs that you can comb the whole thing. It'll comb. I have one that does about 5 inches at a time, 4 or 5 inches. But I think we've got two colors balanced, and I'm not going to add this to the video doing all of them. But the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put colors in the tank and we're going to dip something. So hang in there, we're coming back.
Well,
Whoops.
unfortunately, I accidentally turned my microphone off when I was recording this section. So you're going to be stuck with a voiceover, and my microphone isn't working as good as it should either. So here we go. Yeah, I had dipped this previously. It was dry, and I had attached a little stick onto it so I could dip it nicely into the alum. That is quite important. Here's that rake that I'd been talking about. Made a couple of these a few years ago. Just basically Walmart knitting needles and a piece of wood. Drill the holes at an even space. They're easy to make if you want to go through that much detail. This is the test piece that I did, actually the piece I did on the last video. And it turned out really well, except I was a little disappointed I didn't have enough green on it. And speaking of green, here I am adding the green to the tank. Now, I'd forgotten to pick up green when I was at Dollarama the day before, and I found this old green that I had and kind of hurriedly mixed it up, and it's not diluted as much as it should be. You can see that it's spreading considerably more than the black that I took some time and balanced a little more properly. So this is a part where especially young kids can be so creative, and they really enjoy this part, just dropping drops of paint onto the surface of the water and watching what happens. It's really quite mesmerizing. Now I have green, and you can hardly see the green, and black and white. And the colors you use are up to you. It's um, it's just a matter of what you think you want to do on that particular piece. So here I'm adding the magenta. I really like that color, and it works so nicely in the tank too. Um, but you can see how it pushes other colors around, and eventually you start getting enough paint on the surface so you can start thinking about pattern. Um, Having paper towel close by is a very, very good thing to have. See, the green is still pushing quite a bit. So I should have reduced that or diluted it a bit more. I didn't quite take the time I should have to balance it. So, but that's okay. I'm going to get a new green and do it properly. The other thing that could save a lot of paint here is I'm marbling a little turning. I would not need a tank this big. So that Chapman's ice cream container might actually be better for dipping than this container. In fact, this container I have to prop up one end so that it gets deep enough to marble this. Now, you could probably put it in sideways and roll it a little bit. That would work. I would think that would work. But the one thing you really have to guard against, though, and I haven't talked about it at all yet, are air bubbles. If you get air trapped against the object when you're marbling it, you will have a blank spot on your turning or whatever you're marbling. And that is almost impossible to cover. So dipping it again is not a really good option because it just does not stick well. That color seems to wash off, or at least that's been my experience. So my goal here was to create a bunch of thin lines because I want to give the impression that you've got a green Christmas tree and you've got like lights or garland going around it, and that's what I'm hoping to do with those narrow bands of color. But the important thing is just, in my opinion, to put on lots of color. In the early years when we marbled at school, a lot of the stuff we did was just not colorful enough when it was done. The colors looked washed out, and I believe that comes from not having enough paint on the water. So I kept adding, and you can't see it on the video, but when I was finished marbling and I looked at the tank, like there was a considerable layer of paint that had worked its way to the corners of the tank. So I've got quite a bit in here. But even at that, I mean, it's a few drops. Like it's, I don't know, 30, 40 drops of each color tops. I'm just guessing. That would be a lot, I would think. And again, that's not a lot of paint. Like if you've ever painted with a spray gun, you realize that you can blow through a liter of paint really quickly with a spray gun. So this is really economical. Um, and I'm just mixing colors, just putting things in, having some fun. One of the things I noticed is that when the colors were undiluted, they came out of the container really nicely and dropped into the tank nice. Unfortunately, they just went to the bottom, but the reason now, when they're diluted, they're not dropping as nice. And the reason is that adding that water apparently increases the surface tension on that paint. So it's clinging to the top of the container as I'm trying to drop it. So pipettes or eyedroppers may be more precise for this, but taking one out of Alex's playbook, this was faster. And she often was in the situation where, especially at the Matisho functions we used to run, she had to be quick. And that worked out really well for her. So she would dump the color on, she'd stir it up a bit, or the client would stir it up a bit, and then they would dip something. So they had things going fairly quickly. And I think for demo purposes, this is quite good. However, you may want to take more time. We have the whisks and the pipettes and the eyedroppers, which would probably make, how should I say this, a more defined, maybe not quite the right word, but that's one I'm going to use, order when you're putting your paint on the water. Here I am starting to make my patterns. One of the things I have to remember is to go slowly, as you don't want the whole thing following you as you drag your stick around the trough. I'm using a Walmart knitting needle here. And remember, I wanted those lines, and that's what I'm trying to make here. The nice thing about this is, I know the paper marblers wouldn't agree with this because they like to have patterns that somewhat make sense. At least that's what I'm seeing on the internet. But this, when you're doing this with middle years kids, they're going to be amazed regardless of how the color turns out. And if they got to stir the paint like I'm doing now, like to create your designs and then dip it, they're going to be ecstatic because they did all the work. So I maybe could have done a little bit more in some other areas here. I did mention that where my hand is there, I have about a 2.5-inch block under that side of the tank because I needed the depth, and that's one of the disadvantages of this tank. So it looks like I've got the Christmas tree in my hand, and come on, let's get going. I hate waiting for the video when I'm doing a voiceover. There we go. Okay, so as I said before, it's been dipped in alum and water, and it's dry. And I put a piece in the end. The wire would work better. Yeah, I knew that would come. The wire works better, but I I just tried to use one of the sticks we had here, but it's really not quite stiff enough. Oh, here we go. When you dip, it's a good idea to go somewhat slowly but evenly. Stopping and going back and forth is not a good idea. And make sure your piece is completely under. There we go. Okay, out it comes. How did I do? Hey, it's not bad. I can live with that. The other side's probably better because that was the leading edge going in. Yeah, there it is. And I kind of got my line effect. It's not perfect, but hey, it's something that if I was in grade 8, I would be extremely pleased with. So yeah, this is something that I think you can do with kids, and even just for doing your own projects, it's a lot of fun. Maybe you could invite everybody over and do a marbling.
Well, there you have it. Um, Considering I'd never worked with those colors before, I learned a few things that I would change for next time. The green I have isn't a bright enough green. It's a hunter green. I think I'd look for something a little brighter. It's a little dull. But the colors, I don't know if you can see it from there, the colors, I'm quite happy with the pattern, the design. It worked. And you know what? Yeah, I saw a lot of this and watched a lot of it over the years because in school, Alex and Mandy did this because I was in the shop working with other kids. But I would classify myself as a relative rookie. And if you would take, say, another good project for this is Easter eggs. You would turn little eggs, and then you and your kids could dip eggs, and it's great practice. And once you kind of understand balancing your colors, then it's all creativity, it's all you. So yeah, there are methods you can use, and if this video makes you interested in trying this, there's lots on the internet about paper and fabric marbling, but not a whole lot on wood turning. The only thing I found is an article by Alan Lacer. That's quite an old article already. But so anyway, this is something you can enjoy with your kids, and they're gonna be impressed with this. So I would encourage you to try it. So that brings this marbling demo to a close. For those of you who'd like to see this in real time and in person, I'll be at the Saskatchewan Woodworkers Guild first meeting of the 2024 Guild year, and this will be the demo. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So that turned out. I'm quite pleased with that, considering I'm a rookie. The other thing that I've been so impressed with over the last couple of days is last when I checked, which was this afternoon, I was one subscriber away from hitting the 200 mark. Well, you have to realize when we get to the 200 mark, there's going to be something that goes on here. So I'm thinking maybe like a thermometer up the side and 100, 200 until I get to 1,000. And so I think you'll be seeing more of this in the background there in the upcoming videos. So thank you so much for your support, and hopefully I can keep getting a little better at content, and you guys can watch and subscribe, which I'd really appreciate. So I think that's all I need to say today. So it's Wednesday evening, so this will go up tomorrow. I'll edit and put it up tomorrow, Thursday. And Friday, well, I have a busy weekend, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get a video out Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But no, sorry, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But one of those days I'll get something out. It might be short and sweet, but we'll get something out. So anyway, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you on the weekend. Take care, everyone.